Hello, and welcome back to the Full 40 with Tommy and Willie. Tommy, how we doing, baby?
Not too bad. It was a tough week, but looking forward to greener pastures this week.
I think that's all we can hope for is a little bit more greener pastures. That's all we're looking for.
That's it.
Isn't that all we want in life? Just greener pastures? I think that's basically what it comes down to. It was since we last hopped on, it's been a interesting week of basketball, or like week and a half of basketball. So we're gonna recap the games that happened. We're gonna talk about some injury news. Obviously, I think everyone knows what we're talking about here. And then we'll get into upcoming games, talk about some of the Big East tournament scenarios. I don't know why I'm doing this like I'm on a work call, that I'm like giving them my agenda right now. I'm like really work pilled right now. But let's get into what we talked about with some of these games. So over the last three, we once again have proven that we are not as good as as a protected seed. St. John's might not be a protected seed, but they're close enough that I'm going to call them just like in that area. But the top 5, the top 25, we're not that good. We played UConn, a lot of hype. Home game, Wells Fargo, the real only Finn game that we've had, or sorry, not Finn, Xfinity Live, or Xfinity Mobile, whatever it's called now. I think we had one other game, but this was like one of the ones where everybody's ready, everybody's tailgating, there's a lot of energy around it. That got deflated pretty quickly. UConn did what a title contending team is supposed to do. They came in, they took the wind out of the building. We lost by 10, but that was a 15, 16, 17, 18, like actual, like a true score, I would call that more. They were up by like 23 at a point. We just kind of made a last effort push there. We can talk a bit about UConn, just kind of what were your thoughts on that game? I'll pass it to you, Tommy.
Yeah, the UConn game, I mean, I got on here and I said that I was nervous about this game, and I think we saw why. I mean, this Villanova team is who I think we know they are now, if that makes any sense. I mean, this team's going to beat teams that they're supposed to beat, and they're going to lose teams that they're supposed to lose to. That's been a trend that has happened all year, with the exception of 2 games. I think Wisconsin is a better basketball team than us, and we beat them. And I don't think Creighton is as good of a basketball team as us, and we lost to them. Those are really the only 2 outliers this whole season, right? But just touching on this UConn game a little bit, like you mentioned, the score 73-63 is very generous. It makes it look a whole lot better. I mean, it's an analytics win, even though we're 34th in KenPom right now, which is the furthest down that I can remember us in a little bit. I mean, it's not bad by any means, but certainly a little bit further down than we would have liked. The player, if I gave you 3 guesses for the top 2 offensive rating players in this Connecticut game, do you think you could name them? They're both on Connecticut.
Oh, so not including our own, just like the 2 best players from that game?
Yeah, by offensive rating on KenPom.
Let me think. I'm gonna go ahead and say Eric Rebe.
Correct.
Yeah, he played like pretty well.
7-1 freshman.
And then what's that kid's name? He was the guard who was doing it. It was Malachi Smith, right?
Malachi Smith. No.
Yeah, I was like, Malachi Smith like really made a couple of plays that I was like, there was a guard who was like a small guard was making a lot of really good plays for that. Malachi Smith. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm surprised I got it too. And like, I honest to God, I don't have it up. Like
I'm seriously impressed.
That's just ball right there.
That is ball. That's ball down. That'll make you feel good. But I mean, my whole point with that exercise is it wasn't the solo balls. It wasn't the Alex Caravans. It wasn't the Braylon Mullins. It wasn't the Terrace Reeds. that killed us. I mean, they obviously had their fair share. They're all rated over 100 in offensive rating for this game, but um, I mean, this they came at us in so many different ways, and we just didn't have a lot of answers, which has happened a lot with some of these higher quality teams that we've gone against this year.
What you just said, I think, is what the difference is and why we're not a higher level team is. I don't think we have that many different ways to come at you. And what I mean by that is like what works for us is like pretty consistent. It's Duke's able to get some junk buckets, a cadence getting downhill, we're hitting threes, and that's about it. There's not a lot of versatility to the team in terms of like how we can adjust. And so when the fastball's not working, we don't really have the off speed stuff. Like not for nothing, like I'm looking through our games right now. Maybe outside of the first Seton Hall game, like we haven't even really won like a junkyard knockdown like slugfest game because we haven't really played in them that many either. Um, we haven't been in like in a rock fight that like we've been able to like out like work people on. I would say like Seton Hall was like definitely one, and that's not to say we haven't like executed down the stretch because as I talked about in the last podcast, we've 100% executed down the stretch of a lot of the games that we should win. But basically every game we've played has kind of been more or less the same. You're looking at teams scoring between 68 plus. We're not like dealing with like low scoring like rock fights. Most of the time, the offense has been pretty good from both teams. Like it hasn't been, or like one team scoring and the other team is okay. We're just clearly better. I guess the first Georgetown game was kind of like a rock fight. Um, I'm looking right now from our adjusted offensive ratings. Like we outside of the losses to BYU, Michigan, and St. John's, we've been above 100 in every single game. So we're like scoring more than 1 point per possession. And it's like it's pretty good. We just haven't gotten into these rock fights. So we've played a certain way, and we can talk about this when we get into St. John's, but like teams that force us to play out of our comfort level, that speed us up, that are more athletic, that are bigger, that are stronger, faster, you add whatever, we see what happens there. Like our two worst games have been St. John's, which is just a bad matchup, and then Michigan. And Michigan has been railroading teams all season, but like that's just like what it's looked like when we get overwhelmed athletically.
Yeah, for sure. And this isn't, I mean, this isn't going to be an all happy episode in the beginning, right? There's a lot of stuff that we have to talk about with this team, but I do want to get across that a lot of the things that I'm going to talk about later in this episode, I don't think that this is a bad basketball team. This is a team that's definitely, well, I don't want to say definitely, but very likely to make the NCAA tournament. Our net rating on KenPom is above 20 for the first time since the Jay Wright era. It was never above 20 in the Kyle Neptune era. What that means basically is if we were to play an average Division I basketball team, that's how many points KenPom thinks we would win by. So our net rating is about 20. Duke
Yep.
is 40.
Yeah, the difference in net ratings over the last like 10 years has been insane. Because the Villanova team 2018, I believe our net rating was like either 29 or 31, and it's just increased over time.
33.
33.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, Duke at 40 right now is like historically good.
Yep.
Like these are that's one of the best KenPom teams of all time. Wow. I'm probably still not going to pick them to win the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, Villanova, they're a team. I like what you mentioned about executing down the stretch. You mentioned the no rock fight thing motif recently. I kind of go back to the second, or no, it was the first Georgetown game that you mentioned, the 66-51 game.
Mm-hmm.
That game, and even the second one was the one that we were losing down the stretch, and then we kind of came back. I just think that that's the difference between last year and this year is that we have the guys, we have the coach, we have everything that we need. That game that we played against Georgetown, that wasn't a win in years past. So, there's a lot to take away from this past week, but I do want the overarching message to be like, it's not all as bad as it seems.
Yeah. I mean, like if we think about this team, and get into the Hodge injury once we talk about Butler and St. John's. But if we look at this team, like I just go back to like thinking about like there's that like meme. It's kind of like a meme video where he's like, "And what do your eyes say?" Like we look at all the metrics and like, what do your eyes say? And we're like, it's a flawed but a good team. Like this is what it is. It's a team that realistically is going to be a 7, 8, 9, 10 seed. One of those four is realistic. To your point about making the tournament, I think our worst case scenario is like we lose all three, we end up in Dayton. That's probably where it is, but like obviously we lose all three, and all three meaning DePaul, Xavier, and whoever our first Big East tournament matchup is. That's like probably the worst case scenario that we could see. I don't know how the committee would look at that, but whatever. That's hopefully a reality we don't have to live in. But I just like I get back to it's just like what do your eyes say? Like it's a flawed, but it's a good team. It's a solid team that at the end of the day can beat teams it's supposed to beat, can probably win a toss up. Like let's call us and Wisconsin was a toss up. Like, and that's still even though Wisconsin's better, toss up.
Yeah.
And like can hang tough for like we had a good first half versus UConn. We hung tough for them for a half. That's kind of what when you think about like an 8, 9, 10 matchup versus I guess a 10 or a 10 versus a what is it 2 a 1 or 8, 9 versus a 1. You kind of think like, yeah, they're going to be tough for a bit, and then the better team is going to take over in the second half. That's just kind of to a T what we are. That's not bad, especially considering where we've been over the last 3 years. But it is kind of like this is what this team is. I would love to get like a shock win and like we get to the Big East finals. That'd be fantastic. I think that'd be really good for like the morale of just like, okay, there's some fun momentum. Because like I've sensed, I don't want to call it apathy because there's not apathy around the team. I think everybody's like really happy, but it's just like, okay, we're good, but like, is this it?
Right.
And I was like, for this season, it just might just be it. Like, it's a very good team. We should be like very thankful from where we came from over the last 3 years. Like 3 years is some ridiculous amount of time, but you know, for us it was.
It's a long 3 years.
Yeah, it was a really long 3 years. And now we're back and like are back on the track of like, all right, being a good and a solid team. We'll see if he joins, but like Chris said something in our group chat, essentially being like if this season happened under Jay, we're probably not happy. And that's probably correct. But like the reality of it is like this is a different scenario and we're coming out from a different side. And this is just like once again, a really like
I said that.
Oh, was that you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was addressing the Villanova is back, and I was like, back to what? I said they're on their way back. They're not back.
Yeah, and that's true. I think we're on our way back. But yeah, that was you, Brian. Now that I remember that. Yeah, I don't see names in the group chat. I just respond to stuff. But yeah, we're just he's gone. He's like a thief in the night.
Oh, I'll listen. Sorry, I didn't want to. Yeah.
Oh, no. Go ahead, Brian.
You're good. All right, I'm going to leave again.
So yeah, that's where we're at. But I think like we take away from this UConn game is just like, okay, can hang tough, and then we see like there's a little bit of a fall off. Butler was a little different. Like once again, Butler was kind of just what you'd expect. We had the lead the majority of the game, could never really put them away. They came back. They had the lead like for a little bit down the stretch. Like I think it was like I'm looking right now. It's 59-56. I think it was even 6. Here, hold on. Did they ever get the lead? I'm trying to see if they ever actually led. I think it was like 55-54 at a time. Anyways, they were up or they were close. It was like at least a very close game. We could just never really put them away. And then we made plays down the stretch because we're a better team and we won. And that's just kind of like the takeaway from that game. I will say that game was a good game for me as like a Bryce Lindsay head, just of like, okay, there's some more stuff happening. He was getting downhill a bit more. Like he shot 4 or 5 at the rim. Mid range wasn't like that great for him, but like we just saw more of like, okay, he's there, and once again, we can beat the teams we're supposed to beat. Not sure if you had anything on Butler, Tommy.
Funny you mentioned that. So I was hoping you were going to take the lead on this one. I was at the bar for trivia during this game, and I asked my local bartender Johnny if he could turn the game on like 5 minutes before tip, and he completely forgot.
Classic Johnny.
To the point where I was like kept checking the score on my phone, and he's like, "Are you all right?" And we got there a little after halftime, but I did miss a lot of the first half of this game, and I could box score watch, and it's like that one meme. It's like I'm gonna go read a box score and then go argue with people online. I could do that, but I mean, it just looked like a typical Villanova game from the outside. I'm looking. I am box score watching right now, but out of KenPom breaks it down in quarters, each 10-minute quarter in the game. Out of halftime, a theme that I am worried about a little bit. Villanova came out of halftime and they lost the third quarter 25-13. They ended up winning the fourth quarter 27-20, and eventually the game 82-73. But that kind of has been a theme coming out of the halftime break. For as good as they are in the final 2 minutes of each half, coming out of halftime, I don't know what's being said or what's not being said. But that has been something that I think is worth monitoring over the next couple of games.
I did not know that. I mean, it kind of tracks with like how we've played, but I did not know that was the case. I would have assumed I mean, on average, I'm sure we won most of the second halves because we've won most of our games. Like that's just kind of how that goes. But that's interesting.
Yeah, just out of the halftime break, because I mean, like I mentioned, we close out a lot of these halves pretty strong. But I'm going back. The Xavier game we lost. We lost the fourth quarter as well in the Xavier game.
That tracks because Trey Carroll was just going out of his mind down the stretch.
He was. Creighton game that we won, we lost the third quarter. This is riveting radio.
Yeah.
But the point stands. I do think coming out of halftime, they have been sputtering a little bit, but yeah. Forget what I was going to say.
Yeah. So then, like the Butler game, once again, we won. That was great. We kind of moved. I think we've kind of all like expected that. Once again, handling our business versus the team you're expected to handle your business versus. But then that gets to St. John's. It sucks that we both UConn and St. John's were coming off of losses that they were pissed about. The St. John's game, I think to me, it was very similar to the Michigan game. And I'm going to compare them because it was just like two teams that were way more athletic than us that came out flying from the tip, absolutely flying, and like really like put the hammer down on us. The difference I would say between the two games is I think in the Michigan game, like I'm going back to just like kind of my brain. We were kind of just missing shots. Like it wasn't like Michigan was like absolutely like beating us, but Michigan was scoring every time down, and we just were missing shots down here on the other end. St. John's was like I tweeted from the full 40 account. Like there was a point like I don't think we touched the paint for like a solid 6 possessions. Like we could not bring the ball up court. I think Caden had 5 turnovers. It was just like time and time again. There was a stretch in the early, or probably about from like the 11 to like 6 or 7 minute mark, where Ian Jackson was just the same play, was just poking the ball out, and there was obviously the highlight of the windmill jam, but just like absolutely like the same thing kept happening and happening and happening, and it just felt like that game was kind of one of the issues that I think we have of like, or what we were just talking about is like, what's our counter? Our counter that game was just like hope the shots start to go in. In the second half, like Willard made a little bit more adjustments. We started to play a little bit more natural offensively. Some of those adjustments was like, it was a little bit like more flowing through Duke Brennan. A little bit of like, there was just better ball movement, both on and off the ball. But just overall, like, I mean, St. John's absolutely like hammered us, just absolutely hammered us from the jump, and kind of just like within the first 10 minutes, I was like, oh yeah, this is done. Um, and then obviously, like, I love a moment of like being a little delulu, and like thinking that like, oh, maybe we can do something here. So we got it down to like 17, and I was like, and no, like, like it wasn't. Um, it was just an absolutely great performance. I mean, Zuby was everywhere. The whole team was just like flying at a frenetic pace. So that, like, not for nothing, I don't think we've ever seen our team this year play even close to that level of like that level of effort, connectedness, defensively, everything. And that's just, once again, that's the difference between us as an 8-9 seed, them as a 6-5-4. 4 might be tough, but 6-5 more than likely. And but a 6-5 that frankly probably should be a 4-3 that's kind of underperformed and missed some opportunities early in the season to get some good wins. But St. John's game kind of just like went the way that I think, like, I don't know where you were at. I think we talked about this at like pregame. One of my buddies texted me like, what's your unbiased thoughts on this game? And I was like 83-71 St. John's. Like, I kind of just expected St. John's to like be in cruise control and win the game. They were, but just by a little bit more than a different level of cruise control than I thought we were going to see. Did anything stick out? Anything from you from the St. John's game before we talk about Hodge?
No, I mean, you really hit the nail on the head. There were two different teams on that court. It looked like they were playing two different sports that night, right? And I knew it was going to be bad before the week even tipped off because, of course, we get UConn coming off a loss. Creighton loses 8 of their last 9 games. Of course, the one game they win is against UConn, and then we get UConn right after them. Same thing with St. John's. They're on a roll. They play UConn, get embarrassed. Rick Pitino says before the game, this is the biggest game that he's had as head coach of St. John's. As soon as he's put those words in the paper, I told all my friends, everyone I know, check their FanDuel logs for proof. Just hammer. I was saying, I think the line was 7.5 that it opened. Yeah, I was all over St. John's that night, and you know it sucks. It sucks to lose like that. It was one of the worst losses in recent memory for Villanova. It wasn't particularly close at any point. One team wanted it that night, the other team didn't. I love what you said. I mean, when we get punched in the mouth, like there's no backup plan. And that's go ahead.
I almost want to just push on like, I don't want to say we didn't want it. I just think we all of a sudden recognize like the classic, like there's levels to this, and they were just at a level that we could not tap into.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not like we were disinterested. I'm glad you said that. It was just not on the same level.
Yeah,
as St. John's that night. Yeah, that's a good qualifier. But yeah, no. Aside from that, I mean, the loss sucks. But I'll let you talk about it a little bit more. The loss of Matt Hodge for the remainder of the season is going to be even tougher.
Yep. So Hodge, essentially on a baseline drive, took a pretty hard step to kind of go gather, and then kind of you could see his knee and leg give up. There was speculation about the Achilles, but it's a torn ACL. He's going to miss the rest of the season. A torn ACL at this stage, he will probably miss the beginning of next season. We'll see how that goes. That's almost irrelevant at this moment, but regardless, it's a pretty big loss. I think what I want to hit is like what we're going to miss with Hodge, but then there's how we recover it. So Hodge, I don't even have the numbers off the top of my head, but was averaging about 9 a game. I think it was 3 rebounds. Was shooting 37 from 3. Hodge was just kind of like, if we think about what the team needs, he was like, we had talked about Tyler Perkins being glue guy, becoming X factor, becoming the factor. I think like if we look at it, like Hodge was kind of the glue guy for us. He defended a lot of like bigger wings. He defended like whether or not it was to like, I don't think he's an outstanding defender by any stretch of the imagination, but he's also not a bad defender. Has good positional size, like was active and like competing for rebounds. So like I look at the like what we're missing from Hodge is like, okay, we've just missed like a key part of this rotation, which is terrible and sucks down the stretch. Um, I think I'm trying to figure out like a way to word this that like makes sense. As big as a loss as this is, and it's 100% a loss, I think we can, in the aggregate, like recreate what Hodge did with like more minutes for like Askew and then pulling up some more Malachi Palmer minutes. Um, like when I look at like what Hodge did, like the good thing was it wasn't like Hodge was incredibly high usage. There was
Right.
very, very little self creation from him. It was most of the time he's spotting up for three, he's crashing, he's running the floor. Which as a freshman, this is fantastic. Like this is not a knock on Hodge. He's had a fantastic like redshirt freshman season. Big fan of like what I've seen
Yeah,
from Hodge.
and he got better like as the year progressed.
Yep.
Towards the end, there was a little bit of that driving and banging underneath.
Yep.
But
100%. Like he's been solid for us. He's just been a solid glue guy. But like to the point, like it hasn't been high usage. So when I sit back, I think about how we can replace him. I think, okay, I'm gonna just like actually so I can pull up his things. But like I think like if we're just truly looking at like numbers of what we're replacing, we're replacing 6 shots a game, 7 shots a game, 5 threes, 4 rebounds, like half an assist, half a block, half a steal. Like it's not an absurd thing to replace. And obviously I'm dumbing it down to just numbers here and what's important to him. But like, and he's more than just the numbers. Like I'm that's not at all what I'm trying to portray here. But I think we can begin to replace like the effort or the contributions that we got from him. But it's now what we've done is we've taken a team that was already getting kind of thin. And just like now we have to like other people have to step up. We even more so now like know our rotation. So if we think about who needs to step up, like the number one person is going to be Malachi Palmer, in my eyes, is the person we use to replace him. I think if we do anything, we had this conversation in the chat. Like, do you expect Askew to play more or what happens? I think you kind of just replace Palmer with Hodge or Hodge with Palmer. They're a little bit different. Palmer's a little bit smaller. Is more where Hodge is more of just like a pure forward. Palmer's more of like a guard forward. But I would probably start Palmer in terms of like, all right, he's going to be able to space the floor. He can put the ball in the deck. He defends the same like general level. We've now become shorter, so like we're looking at like more minutes for everybody. Askew's going to play more. I'd expect Jeffrey to play more as well. So Jeffrey's minutes should go from like where he's getting like 5 to 7. I'm expecting more in that like 10 to 12 range for him. And I think like that's where we just like, all right, this is what this team's going to be. But it's really for me going to come to like Malachi Palmer coming up and like really taking some steps and just taking some shots. And not for nothing, this is purely anecdotal. I would probably bet Palmer has a higher usage than Hodge, where like Palmer feels like he's more like trigger happy. I don't know if this is actually true. This is just literally me off the top of my head. So I think that'll also kind of create some like interesting offensive opportunities when we put in Palmer into the lineup. Now, Willard might just be like, hey, Askew's a veteran, let's start him. And like maybe you pull somebody off the bench early. But I think my adjustment would be you start Palmer and you essentially just try to replace 1-to-1 what Hodge did, and then hope that Jeffrey and Pierce can begin to like give a little bit more, and hopefully something from Zion Stanford is kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. I like a lot of things you said there. I do think it's going to be Malachi Palmer that replaces Matt Hodge. I don't think it's going to be 1-for-1. As you mentioned, I think. Hey, breaking news! Breaking news.
Yo,
you know what?
What up?
I'm gonna concede the floor. Let's
No, it's fine. Go finish.
Malachi Palmer. I will push back on one thing. I do think he is a better defender than Matt Hodge. I don't know if the analytics back me up on that, but my eyes tell me that Matt Hodge is not as good a defender as Malachi Palmer. I like what you said about the usage rate as well. And on the flip side of that coin, I don't think Malachi Palmer is as good offensively as Matt Hodge. Now you get him in the corner shooting the threes with about 3 inches of loft on his shot. He could be dangerous in the corner there a little bit, but yeah, they're going to have to come at this a couple of different ways. There's no 1-for-1 Matt Hodge replacement on this bench, but I do think that they'll be able to work something out.
Which, just to what you said there, we talked a little bit about. You said that we need to come at this from different ways. This is where, like, this is why you hired Kevin Willard. Like, all right, more adjustments than a chiropractor, my dude. We got to figure it out because this team needs adjustments. We need to, like, the way we're going to play is going to be slightly adjusted. As much as, like, I want to Palmer to slide in 1-to-1, like, if we're going to become the best team we can be at the end of the season, it's going to take some adjustments because we're not going to be able to play the same way. Chris, curious your thoughts on the Palmer Hodge situation. Anything you want to say that we haven't talked or that we talked about?
R.I.P. Matt Hodge. I think we all agree on that. I am of the belief that 9-3 is his averages. I don't know. He's out there a lot. He plays a lot of minutes. And he's the only other person on the team with any remote sense of size. Malachi Palmer is obviously a sizable guard at 6'6". And he's got like a good build to him, so that helps. But any way in which you're subbing out Palmer for Hodge, you're changing how we're playing.
Mm-hmm.
You're changing how we're playing. We're turning into a 4-guard lineup as opposed to it was a 4-out lineup, I guess you could say. Hodge playing a little bit of more of like a stretch 4 to some degree, but I don't know. This team's been undersized all year. That's a lot of it has been made up by Duke Brennan being a great rebounder.
Fantastic, yeah.
But Hodge is in there. Like, Hodge is involved in a lot. Like, I don't know if he shows up on the box score.
No. The rebounding numbers aren't strong, but he's in there a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, offensive rebounds is pretty good for him.
It's weird because, like, on one hand, when it first happened, I'm like, and like, obviously you get past like the first part of like acknowledging the injury and whatever, and you start to think like, okay, where do we go from here? I like how Palmer's been playing. So my initial reaction was like, all right, well, Palmer will come in and forget what happened in the St. John's game at this point, but like Palmer come in, and I don't think it's an improvement, but I don't think the step off is that big. And then I'm thinking about it more, and I'm just like, there's got to be a reason why, and maybe I'm giving too much credit here, but like, there's got to be a reason why Hodge has been getting all the minutes that he's been getting.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I'm like, shit, is that a bigger impact? Like, I don't know. I'm think a little bit more about the Hodge injury, mostly because it's March 3rd, and we have 2 in-season games left and at least one in the Big East tournament. And I'm thinking of it a little bit more on like NCAA tournament, seeding, whatever. So like, I'm coming at this from like a different angle, like forgetting like the X's and O's on the floor, and more coming at this from like, well, shit, if we lose the next 2 games, which I don't think we will lose the next 2, I think losing one of 2 is absolutely on the table. But if we lose the next 2 games, and let's just say we lose that first game in the Big East tournament on 9:30 on Thursday night, I'm getting nervous. And I realize maybe I'm being a little too nervous on the thing, but like, the NCAA tournament committee does some weird shit. Especially when it comes to injuries. And the weird thing is if you just lose out for the rest of the season, the evidence that they see is, okay, well, with Hodge out, they're a team that lost every game, right? Like, and that changes how they look. That shouldn't erase the rest of the season. But just a couple of years ago, rewind the clock, Providence had Bryce Hopkins, goes down fairly late in the season, and they really puttered to a bad finish. But in that process, they had already amassed 6 quad 1 wins, had decent metrics, should have been in the tournament, did not make the tournament on what likely had to be that injury. Now, Bryce Hopkins was so much more central to that team than Matt Hodges. We know that.
Yep.
But the committee's looking at it on paper, evaluating 80 teams for the spots and saying, oh, well, shit, here's a team that went 0-3, 0-3.5 with him out. So I don't know. Obviously we're getting ahead of ourselves. I think one win quelches that entire dialogue. I think we'll get that win. But like I'm not thinking about the Hodge loss as much from like an X's and O's standpoint as I am the ramifications on the rest of the season in terms of seeding and all of that stuff.
Yeah, no, that's a really fair point, Chris. I mean, before I go, is there anything else you wanted to add, Tommy, Chris? All right.
I was at the St. John's game. That sucked ass.
Yeah.
But shouts to my buddy who took me.
So here's kind of like let's just like kind of take that peek ahead. So we have DePaul and we have Xavier. We're not going to do like full game breakdowns of them, but where we're kind of at is now Big East tournament seeding situations. It's kind of like what I want to kind of spend some time talking through and talking about here. We are, I believe, locked into the 3 seed.
Locked in.
Yeah.
Locked in.
So guaranteed, but now it's just a matter of like who we might be playing. Anybody, I'm going to put this in the comments just for anybody to click around on it. We rarely do in this chat, but I like this thing. It's called, it's like a B-ball nothing. And it's just essentially shows you like the remaining conference games. Can people click that? Is that how this works? I've never put anything in the chat. But essentially it's an internal, and I put it to everybody. I know I put it, I meant to put it there. But it's a way of looking at like the tournament tiebreakers and things like this. I've been using this for the last couple of years. And essentially it has like what happens down the stretch here. I want to spend some time talking about like, what do we think happens and what do you want to see? Like, let's say we split 1-1, or let's say we lose to DePaul. Why not? Where we lose in Chicago and we beat Xavier. Let's just say that's the way that it goes. What do you want to see? Like, who would you want to see us play? Kind of give all that. Yeah.
So right now, looking at the standings, you got Seton Hall in 4th. They won tonight. They're not locked into 4, but they are now locked into the 4-5 game.
Yep.
So we will not see them on our side of the bracket. If we see them, it'll be in the championship. DePaul is not locked in. DePaul is the 5 seed right now.
Mm-hmm. Which who would have thought with DePaul 5 seed? That's just
well, they've been them and Providence have been playing outside of UConn and St. John's. It's separating from them. The two of them have been playing arguably the best ball in the conference. So the only teams that could possibly be in the 6 slot, I believe, are
I think it's
DePaul, Creighton, and Providence.
Butler can get to the 6.
Butler too.
Butler can get to the Butler. Okay, Butler can get to the 6.
Yeah.
I don't think they will, but fine. For arguments, that's fair.
They'd have to win out. Yeah.
Yeah, they have to win their last 2. Right. Okay. And there has to be something else behind that.
But we would have to beat DePaul. If we lost to DePaul, DePaul gets it anyways.
Okay. I mean, of those teams, I would prefer to play Creighton or Butler because both of those teams are playing poorly. Butler played us actually decently at the Finn, but those team seasons feel over. They don't feel like Creighton has been horrendous. It's actually insane that Tommy brought it up before. It's insane that they beat UConn. Like they've lost 8 of 10. They've including twice to DePaul, which I guess in retrospect doesn't look as bad, but like still like twice to DePaul by the same exact score. And they have just done nothing but lose. The only other game that they've won other than that UConn game somehow is a buzzer beat, effectively what was a buzzer beater versus Seton Hall. And they've lost every other game. So they are not playing particularly well. I think I'd prefer to see them just as a result of that. And Butler, I think, as well. DePaul played us really tough.
Yeah.
In the Finn during the 2 weeks of the season where we played our best basketball. And DePaul was the only team between the Michigan game and between the Michigan loss and the Creighton loss. DePaul was the only game that was actually like close in that entire. I guess Wisconsin was close, but like we controlled a lot of Wisconsin, kind of gave it up at the end, and then took way over again in overtime. It was the worst that we played was versus DePaul during that several week stretch. I don't necessarily want to see them. And then Providence is spunky. I think my hottest take, and I've had this take for a while, is I think Providence could win the Big East tournament.
You said this to me, yeah.
Yeah, I really do. Mostly because they're super efficient offensively. So, like, obviously they'd have to ratchet up on D a little bit, but they've been playing a lot better ball lately. They're actually, kudos to them, have climbed somehow into the top 75 in the net. So they've gifted us a quad one win, which is something that we can't say for Butler or Creighton. But they've been playing better. They have a really good offensive team. I think they're maybe the second best offensive team in the conference now. I don't really want to see. I don't really have any part of Providence. I know we handled them both times we played them, but I don't know if I want to see them. I'll stop there. 11. I'm not too concerned. I don't want Marquette to be the 11th because like they played us tough twice, but I'm not buying on that. Like Georgetown would be great. I'd love to see. They've just fallen apart since that injury. So yeah.
Providence is the second higher or best offense in the Big East. Worst defense. So yeah.
Yes. No, not a good defensive team, but you know how it goes sometimes in the Garden. Like you get people, especially late at night, everyone's fucking hammered. Like those Providence fans will be out there. Like it'll be an away game, like just candidly. And it would be an atmosphere where people will look to see us get knocked off. I really do. I think that. And then they start hitting shots. We get a little on our heels, and all of a sudden it gets sour. I don't want that. I don't want it.
I want. This is my plea to the rest of the Big East. Unless you can win the tournament, let us win our game.
Yes,
because you don't want to send two teams. We don't want to fall off and only send two Big East teams.
We realistically, Willie, I realize it's a far chance that we don't make the tournament.
I think we lose 3. Like we're probably in Dayton. To your point, like that's probably where we end up as like a floor. That's where I think of is if we were to lose we lose 2 and then we lose the first Big East tournament game. I think Dayton's the floor.
I tend to agree. I just don't know. At that point, you're just putting it in the committee's hands.
It's in the committee's hand, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't hate that.
Yeah.
Win one game and it's over. The conversation is fully done, and we're not even in Dayton. It's like we're clearly in the tournament.
Yep. Might be a 10, but we're in. Whatever. Yep.
Yeah, whatever they do to punish seeding, but they can't keep us out.
Yep.
Tommy?
I agree with 99.9% of what you said regarding the teams you do want to face and the teams you don't want to face. As crazy as it sounds, they might be the 11 seed. I don't want to see Marquette.
Yeah, right. I agree with that. Yeah.
At all. Nigel James, the freshman for Marquette, he's making a case for Big East Freshman of the Year right now. Now, Caden Lewis in KenPom is in the top 5 players, not freshmen in the conference, the top 5 players in the conference this year, just based off his advanced analytics on KenPom. So I don't know how they decide to vote on that, but Nigel James for Marquette, he had a layup go viral a couple weeks ago, and he's just ever since the calendar year turned to 2026, he's been phenomenal. But the thing with Marquette is their last 5 games, they've won one of them, and it was on the road at Georgetown. Georgetown almost beat St. John's tonight for our listeners that were not listening. They lost by 3, and their shot rimmed out at the end. But yeah, Marquette is a team I really don't want to see. Don't really care about, and this will get clipped, but I'm not too worried about the Creightons and the Butlers. I like how we match up against them. I know we lost to Creighton the one game, but we went to their place and we took care of business. So I think Duke Brennan's going to be a load for both of those teams.
Yeah.
And they're really susceptible, both of them, to the pick and roll, which is our pony that does one trick that we just keep eating. Yeah, here's a sentence Agami, something I've never said personally. I'm worried about DePaul. I'm worried about DePaul tomorrow. I'm worried about DePaul playing them in the tournament. I mean, DePaul, I've gone to the Big East tournament 2 or 3 times, at least 2 times in the Kyle Neptune era. I think DePaul's won a game on Wednesday in the Big East tournament at least 2 times in the last couple of years.
They've played people tough too. Didn't they play Creighton like to the wire?
Yes.
Last year? Yeah.
Yeah. In the second round. And they obviously everybody remembers a Justin Moore shot playing us tough. 2 years ago, they played Seton Hall in the first round. They won like 2 Big East Conference games. They go in and they take off Seton Hall and MSG. DePaul's not a team I want to see in the Big East tournament. And that's my second sentence Agami of the day.
If I can add to that, because DePaul is DePaul, the second DePaul has like a lead in that building, in like the atmosphere is like you're fully it. You know what it's like? It's like being a 2 seed and the 15 seeds up on you at the half. Yep. It's like it's exactly that vibe in the building itself. It's awful, terrible vibe to be the favorite team in that situation.
Everybody's rooting against you in that situation.
Yes.
DePaul's team I don't want to see. I don't want to see Trey Carroll. The rest of Xavier's team, I'm not too concerned about, but Aquaman gives me nightmares. I am hoping he is okay. He did leave the game early today with a hip injury, I believe they were calling it. He is the Big East leading scorer as it stands, so that will be another situation we can monitor over the next couple of days. But I mean, realistically, whoever we play on Thursday is going to be a game that if we lose, it's going to be disappointing, right? Yeah. We're just hoping that we can steal that game on Friday, and that's a big question mark.
So let me ask you, as we talked about stealing the game on Friday, obviously we're probably like a week early with this because we haven't like seen how the bracket breaks out, but I'm going to ask you anyways, like, do you think we have a chance to win the Big East tournament?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. The only thing I'll caveat is if Lewis gets hot in the spotlight. If Lewis gets hot in the spotlight, then so you see those situations all the time. A guard just goes and wins the Big East tournament, right? Like, and so therefore, it's got to be someone with the ball in their hand. So I would think it would be Lewis, right? But like that's my exception, right, so to speak. But other than that, I don't really see us. I don't see us beating UConn and St. John's. I don't know if I see us beating UConn or St. John's. So really what you'd almost have to hope for is you'd kind of have to hope that the way the bracket shakes out is effectively Hall would have to beat St. John's on Saturday, which I think is possible. So Hall would have to beat St. John's on this Saturday, St. John's has to beat Hall. Sorry, let me flip that. St. John's has to beat Hall on Saturday. Because I think if St. John's is the 2 seed, I think they wipe the floor with whoever their 7 is. If UConn is the 2 seed and they played Providence, Providence played UConn really fucking hard both times. And like I could see a world where Providence beats UConn in the 7-2 game on Thursday night. I could theoretically do. Now you could say, well, Providence beat St. John's and actually played them decent, but I don't know if after what happened in Providence with that, I don't see how that goes Providence's way the second time around. So Providence beats UConn, and then we would play Providence on Friday night, like, and then if you're in a 1 game for all the marbles, like I guess anything can happen, right? Like, that to me would have to be kind of how the bracket breaks. I don't see us beating UConn and St. John's back to back. I don't know if I see him beating them, period. But
yeah, that was going to be my point as well. The big overarching theme I've kind of preached to no end here over the last couple of episodes really is, I mean, this team is who we see them being. This is a team that's going to beat teams that they're supposed to beat, and they're going to lose to teams that they're going to lose to.
Floor is here, the ceiling's here.
Exactly. Exactly. It is cramped at Villanova, but I mean, we've beaten one team that we weren't supposed to all year long. Again, that being Wisconsin, and to win the Big East tournament, we'd have to extremely likely that we would be banking on that happening 2 times in 2 nights. I don't see that happening. I never say never. I mean, obviously they could, but I think it's extremely unlikely. Willie, you're just a floating head right now. But
yeah, I'm like, just when I sit back in my chair, you just can't see the rest of my body. I think I tend to agree with that. I don't really see. I think Chris's scenario, like where Providence wins, is probably the best chance to do it.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't really see a world where that happens, but like simply, and it's not even because of the matchups per se. It is because of, like, to your point, Tommy, we've seen what this team is. The floor to ceiling difference is like really like not that different. Which means like getting into like March, like the tournament, assuming we handle our business and we are there. I think we can win our 8-9 game depending on the matchup. Like there's so many things, we'll get into that. And if we're in the 8-9 game, maybe it's 7-10, whatever it may be. And then I don't really, I'm with y'all. I don't really see a world that we do it. I'd love to be proven wrong, but like at the end of the day, like if we can make it to Friday, Big East tournament, and make it to the round of 32, I think this season's a win for me. I'm like, this is hitting what we've done. The win, like I think the excitement of winning that first round game is going to be like, that's the season. Like, cool, we did it. Like we won their first round game. We've kind of had our moment. Even if it's like the round of 32 game, you know, we take a team to the wire. That's electric. I'm excited for that. But Big East tournament, same, and it's kind of the same thing in Big East tournament. Win the opening round game, cool. The like we can like shed the weight off our shoulders, and then can we take likely, I think UConn to what's it called to like to the edge again, which like we did on the road. At home they beat the crap out of us, so I don't know, we're gonna see where we go there. But I'm with y'all. I don't necessarily believe that we can do that, which, you know, we'll take what we get. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, context is important. We were voted 7th in the preseason poll, so like the fact that we're even having this conversation is cool.
I'm over that. I'm being honest with you guys. I'm like over it. Yes. I knew that was going to get me. I really was actually just trying to get Brian into the room. No,
I'm an influencer.
No,
I'm pouring you down. Willie earlier gave you credit for something in the group chat that I said, and I just turned the camera on. I was like, I said that. I said under Jay Wright we wouldn't be happy. I was like, I don't know how we can say Villanova's back, but it's back to 1.
Yeah. Here's the deal. If you just go from the beginning of the season, I'm full like. I feel like I've said this so many times, but I guess I haven't because I haven't been on the podcast that much.
You've said it in the text a lot, but yeah.
Yes. I said it in the group text a lot. I am capable of saying that on an overall basis, I am satisfied with the overall direction and year 1 of the Willard era. I'm capable of coming to an overall conclusion when I look at the entire body of work. That being said, from where we were sitting here when I came on the podcast, Willie, with you right before the Creighton game, right? Like we had come off of a few week period where, we got trampled by Michigan and fine. That game wasn't even about us, right? Like win a couple major conference games. We beat Wisconsin in Wisconsin. We win at Seton Hall, which time looked like it was a tournament team. We beat Butler at Butler, which we're sure was a tournament team, but at the time looked like it could. Got past DePaul, whatever it may be. And you're sitting there and you're just like, this team could be Willie. You and I had a conversation of like, what does this team can do to make a 4 seed?
Yeah.
Right. Like, granted, the conference didn't play out in such a way that the
opportunities were there. Yeah.
That put us in that opportunity set or whatever. So fair. So like some of it's out of our own hands, but like we have not played a great game of basketball pretty much in January and February. Maybe that's an overstatement. Probably is an overstatement. But like if you go down the games, like, yeah, I'm happy we won at Providence. I'm happy we won at Butler. I'm happy we won at Creighton. Creighton was probably the most complete game. But you're talking about all these teams, which are basically 90 to 100 in the net. And we won by 7 at Georgetown, and it was tight late, and Caden needed to make 2 hero threes down the stretch, right? Like we edged out Marquette by 3 at home, right? Like Butler, we were up 14 at the half, lost the second half, right? Like there's not been a lot to get excited about other than you could argue that maybe the best game that we've played in the last 2 months was an 8-point overtime loss at UConn.
Yeah.
Like you could make that argument. I'm trying to like marry up the overall of like, yeah, Tommy, I agree with your point. I'm not necessarily saying like your point is invalid or wrong. Like I am capable of saying like, yeah, this team was picked to go 7th in the league. Been one of the handful of stories in the Big East this season that we're coming in a clear and distant 3rd, going to make the NCAA tournament. All that's really great. I don't want to be too what have you done for me lately, but we didn't hire Kevin Willard to be like meander through January and February and like kind of just slowly but surely like see our seeding fall off the cliff. Like again, some of it's not his fault. Some of it's the conference that absolutely has been atrocious. But I'd expect when we play those games versus those teams to kick some fucking ass once in a while. And like, it just hasn't happened. Like we just keep seeing our KenPom decline. So I'm throwing it out there that I'm a little like, yeah, but like you went out and you won Wisconsin, you won Seton Hall. Yes, that reset my expectations a little bit, but I'm capable of looking at the overall picture. But from that point, we have not been that good. And the team did not materialize off of where they were sitting in early January.
Yeah, I can see exactly where you're coming from. I think I was thinking of it more from just an overarching view.
Fully agree with that. And I fully agree with that point.
Yeah. I mean, coming into this season, this roster is not the most talented in the conference. I could name 5, 6, 7 teams that have more talent on their roster than this Villanova team has this year. Now, what we retain, and that's a completely different story, what this team develops into. But I don't know. I don't think my expectations for this team were as grand in year one in the Kevin Willard era. Like, what if the conference didn't suck? Like, what if Georgetown was competent and what would our record be in conference play? So I think that plays a lot into it. I don't know what our luck rating is. Providence 364 in luck. I don't hear their fans talking about that anymore. But yeah, I do think that this season as a whole was more successful than I thought.
Fully, I do agree with you there. No, I'm not debating that point. Brian, what'd you come in here for?
Oh, sorry, I zoned out. I'll leave again.
What I'm thinking about, like, I mean, yeah, Chris, you're making a good point. Like, I guess if we think back this season and like our signature win is probably Wisconsin. But like, yeah, to your point, the game that sticks out to the most to me is the loss to UConn in overtime, where we kind of tricked that away down the stretch. Like, I'm not gonna like UConn won handily in overtime, but down the stretch we kind of tricked that away. Yeah, I see the vision. I understand why you're saying what you're saying. Ultimately, okay, so sorry. I'm on T-Rank, and it has game scores. Essentially gives a score for like how the team played in an individual game. The Michigan game score for us was a 56. What do you think the St. John's one was?
30.
12.
It was a 20. And every other game is like even the losses, like Connecticut lost the one just last week was at 87. Like it's giving us decent scores. Like it's our worst 3 games have been St. John's, the Michigan loss, and then the win versus Old Dominion, which like I forgot we even played them.
Is that the game we hit like 93s? Or no, that was Sacred Heart, right?
Yeah, Sacred Heart we hit 22. Yep.
Nice. Feels like many lifetimes ago at this point.
So yeah, I hear you. I mean, it makes sense. I just sit and think about this team. I don't know. I'm gonna hold off. I just got some hope for a fun March. Just give me something to be in March or to be in one shining moment. That's kind of like where I'm at right now. Give me a one shining moment. A buzzer beater versus in the 8-9 game, perfect. A punch thrown versus the 1 seed. Oh my goodness! Come on, let's get in there. Whatever it is.
We're in the Final Four in Olympics ago, and now we're hoping for a one shining moment.
Duke Brennan punches Cam Boozer. Like, come on, give me something.
I'd sign up for that.
But that's exactly it, Tommy. I think that's a good point. Like, I think there's an understanding that there has to be patience with the program, right? Like, which is why everyone's expectations year one, especially once you understood what the roster was going to look like, was like, okay, like, can we get better at the end of the year? Can we become something maybe bigger than the sum of its parts? Build some momentum inside the program so that we actually stand this thing up and have something to look forward to going forward. Mission accomplished on that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, especially if we can, Willie, to your point, win a game. But like, we are now fully in the Kevin Willard era, right? Like it's that old saying, like, freshmen throughout the course of the year, like by the time they're end of the year, they're not like freshmen anymore. They're kind of like people with experience. Like yes, he's a first year coach of this program, but he's been coach for 11. Like we're in it. Like, we're now fully in the Kevin Willard era, right? Like, so now it's like, okay, like from here, we saw this season, how it's playing out. Great. Like, I got my eyes open to, like, next year, if this team looks good in December and we go into January and like it starts to peter out again, it's gonna bring up some questions. That's all.
Yeah, I kind of see what you're saying. I think there's like the macro overview of the season. Like, thumbs up. We did what we needed to do.
Your thumb is not.
Yeah, my thumb's not showing up. But macro overview, like, it's a thumbs up. We did what we needed to do. We've like checked that off. When you get into the when you're reading the fine details, it's like, oh, missed opportunity, could have been better, all that different stuff. But still, passing. You're like, all right, like, once again, I could hand this off and it's fine. But there's room for improvement, and to your point, something to watch down the stretch. I think that's all I really had today. But is there anything else, anything top of mind for y'all? Anything pressing for you boys?
No, sir.
Nothing?
No. Are we going to talk about the DePaul? Did you guys already talk about the look forward?
We kind of like poo-pooed through that. But if you have anything you want to add to the DePaul look forward, anything you want to talk about going on in Chicago?
I kind of hit the point. Tommy kind of hit the point. I'm really nervous for tomorrow. I think we'll beat Xavier at home. I'm a little concerned about tomorrow's game. I think I might be more surprised by a win than a loss.
Wow.
That's a take. I don't disagree. I understand why you're saying it.
You kind of disagree with it.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're allowed to disagree with it. Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be more I'm trying to figure out my feelings on this. I wouldn't be shocked if we lost. There's not a piece of me that'd be shocked if we lost. But I would I don't want to say I'm expecting to win. I'm expecting to win. That's kind of where I'm at. I think we come together pretty strong off the Brennan injury. The Brennan injury would send me into psychosis. Let's be very clear. I'd be just pack it up, we're done. But off the Hodge injury.
You guys want to play whose line is it anyway? Try and guess the gambling line. What it opened at? I know the answer, so whatever you guys think it is.
Nova -2.5.
My number was 2.5, but I'm gonna go say 3.5 then.
You guys are sharp. It was 2.5.
2.5.
I did not look at. That was off the top of my head. I remember. I think Ken Palm's got a 4 or 5 point game, and it would make sense that you would take off a little bit for the Hodge situation and for how both teams have looked of late.
This is a question I thought this is kind of random, but I was thinking about this during the pod. Who would you say, and we can talk about this at the end of the season, but who would you say is our MVP this season?
Perkins. For sure.
Perkins.
Consistently good player.
But I think you could also argue from most valuable, you could make the argument that it's Brennan.
That's who I was going
because
most important versus MVP versus MIP.
Yeah, fair. Losing what player reduces the value of this team the most?
I mean, I
don't know. I could argue for both of those.
Yeah.
I like to throw Caden Lewis's name in the hat as well.
It's one of those three. Yeah.
I think
he's the most skilled. We kind of did this with the old really good teams of Brunson's the best, McHale's the most important, so-and-so's the most talented. Sort of the same thought. He's the best basketball player on the team is Lewis. But
yeah.
Yeah, I think he's done a tremendous job as a freshman, being the quarterback of the offense and facilitating and ball handling. For as much as I love Askew, I don't think he's half the ball handler that a Caden Lewis is. He's a much better scorer, obviously. Maybe not finisher, definitely not finisher actually, but Caden's vision and ball handling it's been paramount so far for this team. So far, I mean, we have 2 games left, but
I just I keep going. I go back to Duke. He's such an ass kicker, rebound. He's just a real ass kicker, and I think I said preseason. I was curious how he'd handle the physicality of Big East play. He's fine. Just because it was once again he played a little bit at Arizona State, but it was most of his time was at Grand Canyon. Yeah, I mean he's been fine and an absolute ass kicker. Just think he's 4th in the nation at rebounding. Something like that. I can't remember what the number was, but he's averaging over 10 a game, which I can't remember the last player that we had who averaged over 10 a game. That's actually probably a good trivia thing to figure out at some point. Because I don't think Ochefu ever averaged over 10.
No, probably not.
Spellman didn't. Dixon definitely didn't. Yeah, can't think of it. I mean, you're probably getting to Lawson.
Yeah. Maybe Malik Allen.
Yeah, maybe Malik Allen or Lawson would probably be the ones that I would say. Yep. All right. Well, this is, I think, all we have for today. We will. Oh, is there anything going on, officer? Oh, I thought you said something.
I heard a laugh.
Yeah, I heard a laugh. Yeah. So this is all we have going on today. I think what we'll hit to is next week, we will essentially it's going to be getting ready for Big East tournament. So we're going to talk about the Big East tournament. We're going to talk about the seeding, probably talk a little bit about awards, where we're at. I'd want to kind of probably have a little bit of a game. I have an idea, something that we can do for wrapping up and bring up the Big East tournament. And then the next Sunday is Selection Sunday. We're really, really close to the tournament. I'm so excited. I'm planning on going to. I haven't bought my tickets yet, but the first and second rounds in San Diego, and I will be in attendance for whatever game that is, or whatever 4 games or 6 total there are. I'm just going to buy the Siege Sessions tickets. I'm just going to be there. We're going to post up. You guys going to go to Philly?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah.
No.
No, yeah, I figured, Chris. All right. Well, this has been great. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Tommy. We will talk to you all next week. And as always, let's go Nova.